Hi, Frank.
Go.
Good morning, Frank.
Bonjour. Désolé que j'ai des questions en anglais ou en français.
En anglais, s'il vous plaît.
Each team has 24 minutes to present its cases to the judges. The time of presentation will be so divided. The first 12 minutes of the presentation are considered as being protected, meaning that the judges cannot interrupt the team. The next 10 minutes are non-protected. The judges have the possibility of interrupting the presentation in order to ask questions of clarification on the subject presented at this moment. The judge will have to limit himself to 15 seconds to ask his question. The team has to answer the question, but can then continue its presentation without waiting for the agreement of the judge. The judges cannot ask questions on a subject having already been covered or which has not been presented yet. These questions must be approached during a period of question at the end of the presentation. The last 2 minutes of the presentation are meant to conclude the presentation and are shielded from questions from the judges. It will show boards showing the remaining time when there will be 12 minutes, 7 minutes, 2 minutes, and 30 seconds left, and will make the countdown of the last 10 seconds by using my hands. A period of questions of a maximal duration of 5 minutes is assigned to the jury at the end of the presentation. I would like to remind the jury that it is mandatory to ask at least one question during this period. I will invite the judges to introduce themselves and then the team can begin.
Léo Leblanc.
Jay Gadet, Manager of Program Governance Expertise at the Atlantic Canada Opportunity Agency.
And I'm a retired consultant.
Bon matin, messieurs. Mon équipe et moi, Hugo, Lucas et Frank, on est très excités aujourd'hui de vous présenter notre solution pour l'ISOT. On est le groupe C. Présentement, l'ISOT est depuis les années 90 et s'est positionné comme un leader mondial dans l'imagerie et le tri généralement de la nourriture à travers le monde, de toutes sortes. Aujourd'hui, on est à la croisée des chemins. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On grossit internationalement, mais il n'y a pas eu nécessairement de structure très établie par rapport à cela en ce moment. Comment est-ce qu'on fait? Évidemment, on nous a présenté la situation du Mexique, qui est une opportunité qui est très intéressante. Puis vraiment, on va adresser ce sujet-là en détail dans cette présentation, alors que le Mexique est une situation où il y a beaucoup de potentiel, non seulement par rapport au Mexique, mais aussi par rapport au reste de la planète. Currently, today we're going to present you where is Lizard. What are the problems? Evidently, you might be the problems, but we see challenges, opportunities. What can we do to grow as a company, and through which issues we must work through to do so? Evidently, what is the opportunity? How will we select what is a good solution to go forward with today? Evidently, the recommendation, how we're going to go through with that. The risk and mitigation, and then there's some that arise, and we've talked about reason why they're not significant if you operate properly, eventually what that implies financially, and the impact on your bottom line and operation generally, and which will be followed by a Q&A question. Today, Lizard has built a reputation in the industry because of 2 main points. Evidently, it builds customized products with a higher level, a very great customer service, which allows them to position themselves highly in the eyes of the consumer, and evidently helps them grow as a company. Evidently, you've grown internationally due to the high quality of your products, and which has been remarked throughout the world, but there hasn't been any structure which we'll address today. And evidently, the range of customers which you have at the moment, from small customers to big multinational enterprise throughout the world, is something which we think you must leverage going forward. My colleague Frank is going to go into greater details about how we're going to go with that solution today.
Thank you. As you can see, we've been telling you how great LMB has been. However, there are great challenges that the firm has been facing as any companies in the world is facing right now. Looking internationally, we want to expand. While at the same time we already have the presence of 7 countries in different, including Canada, we still want to explore more options given the attraction of the Mexican market as of right now. However, due to the market development challenges, the product development challenges and the exporting challenges, we haven't been able to explore all those options as well as we could. As of right now, the marketing development challenges poses us through 3 different paths. First of all, we've been using 4 different types of ways in order to market ourselves and sell our goods and services, which at the same time has not been the most effective way. We're going to go into them in details later on. And at the same time, the language and communication barrier that we face because we are a Canadian firm and whose experience in Spanish is limited has been one of the biggest challenges throughout every single time we deal with Mexican firms. Lastly, because of those 2 things combined, the sustainability of the relationship that we build with those customers in Latin America and different places in the world have not been guaranteed as much as the ones that we built in North America as of right now. Moreover, the product development challenges have also been one of the biggest obstacles that we need to overcome if we want to increase productivity and efficiency. First of all, given the fixed amount of 15 employees in the company, with the lengthy process of building the product, of negotiating, of making a plan, and then the action plan, in order to get a quote price, we assume it's going to take us at least 6 months, while if we can shorten that amount of time, we can increase the turnover rate, and by doing such, we're going to increase the profitability of our firm. Moreover, in order for us to attract new customers, our executives have to travel a lot. Not only is taking a lot of pressures on our finance, but at the same time, it is hard to educate customers who haven't been familiar with the technologies that we've been using. As indicated in the firm, a lot of our potential customers don't even know that they need it. Last but not least, the sales expense that we've been paying for all the travels and all the roadshows and all the emails and everything that we've been conducting from the market development phase have been in question as of right now. And now we'll hand back to Hugo for the international expense ratio.
Evidently, also when you're looking at the international, some risk arise when it comes to exporting. Among those, evidently one of the first ones which come to mind is the currency risk. Some of your clients have mentioned that they kind of feel threatened by buying to you because of the fear that the US dollar in which you are trading might rise at an unpredictable rate. Evidently, this is something we think can be pretty much mitigated pretty easily, and we'll address that further on. Evidently, the potential regulation changes throughout the world. There's a lot of instability. Evidently, one of the main one that comes to mind is the President-elect Donald Trump, but also the region in which you operate, such as Japan, is in a pretty precarious situation at the moment, and the same applies to Europe, to which there are some current trade agreements which we think, being in Canada, will definitely help you, but it's something you have to keep in mind being established internationally. And evidently, since you're international, the after-sales challenge that arises is evidently when there are certain problems and servicing that must be done on the machine. These machines being critical to the operations of your customers, the servicing must be done in a very quick time frame. However, having them internationally, sending an engineer can be a timely thing. Hence, we think for certain clients, you must address that problem.
So this brings us to the opportunity. Now, through the implementation of our strategy, Lizard will be able to mitigate the exporting risks, reduce lead times, reduce the linguistic and cultural challenges, and enhance the market development approach whilst integrating into the Mexican market and ultimately increasing revenue. Now, to do so, we've devised a decision matrix which we believe have 5 criteria that are really important to you. First is being the language and cultural challenges, especially given the fact that Mexico primary language is in Spanish, as well the market development enhancement that Frank elaborated on. The exporting issues, we need a solution for it, and we believe that our plan will be able to successfully mitigate that. And then for the reduction of lead times as well, the amount of time between the moment where one of the executives goes and then speaks to a customer, and the amount of trips that it takes to continuously go see a customer and improve on relationships. And lastly is the custom built specialization, which we know that machine vision is always striving to keep at top. Now, if we hire a sales team from Mexico, yes, this will be a great solution. However, it's very short term and it won't necessarily help with exporting issues as well as the reduction of lead times. Whenever we look at the joint venture, yes, it will help with language differences, the market enhancement, as well as exporting issues. However, this still would not help for the reduction of lead times. However, with our trifecta plan, we'll be able to fulfill all 5 of these categories and ultimately enable you to take advantage of this problem and actually turn it into an opportunity to increase your sales and also go into the Mexican market. Now, the trifecta strategy is built upon 3 pillars. First being the refocus of sales. Next being BYOB, which we'll elaborate on in a few moments. And last is a few contractual agreements. Now, with respect to the refocus of sales, the methods used thus far were somewhat an online presence through emailing, which wasn't as effective considering the fact that only 1 in 250 emails actually led to a sale, as well as the online presence through Facebook and LinkedIn. And however, there have been very successful roadshows, namely the one in Boston. And also, there's been the efforts put with Canadian lobbying in order to gain new customer lists hasn't been the most efficient. Therefore, we believe that we should refocus our sales by increasing the number of roadshows that we go to. Namely, in Latin America, there are 3 roadshows that we've seen that are that include all Latin American countries, especially Mexico, and we believe that this is the best way to be able to actually meet these clients. As we know from the information provided, of most executives from these companies and our clients really enjoy having a face-to-face interaction with our executives, and therefore we believe that through the road shows this would be the best way to do so. However, you might be wondering how exactly are we going to have time to do so. We're going to hire 1 to 2 account executives, which are essentially a few salesmen who are Spanish speaking, and they'll be following our executives to the roadshow as like an entourage for the roadshows. And also they'll be doing some telecommunication, making sure that we actually contact these clients in Mexico rather than just send a few emails and not get too many responses. The cost would be $35,000 per salesperson, and they would receive about 1% commission, which is very motivating for them. The duration would be approximately 6 months, and then after 6 months, we'd reevaluate what exactly we want to do with these account executives based on a few criteria. We do know that the company strives on 3 categories, which is to have a custom-built culture on sorting, grading, and quality control. Those are the 3 main factors that actually give a competitive advantage. And by the same token, we want to apply these 3 criteria with these salesmen. We want to be able to sort them, grade them, and as well ensure that the quality is controlled of these salesmen and that the synergies between the executives and the salesmen are going so that's essentially it. As well as the reasons. This would also help us remove the language barrier, which was a problem that my colleagues mentioned, and as well would also help us with marketing, which is, and that's simply it. So now I'll pass it on to Frank to explain the BYOB strategy.
Thank you. So right now, your lead time is one of the biggest problems that you have in order to maximize your profit and in order to increase the turnover rate. We believe that in order to reduce those lead times, if we can have a website user interface that would help the potential clients to go online see what kind of plans that they need, especially with those that could be standardized. It would be not only time saving, cost effective, but also could give us the time to overview all the process of designing, developing, and testing. Not only that, we would have the price quote and the cost quote in order to estimate how much we're going into buying the materials. Because not only the price of the materials going to fluctuate over time, we as a small firm cannot hedge that completely by buying derivatives or going with call or put options at bigger firms. So as of right now, with this plan, we would have an estimation of how much it's going to cost us, at the same time how much we can quote the clients in order to better the performance of both sides. This is an interface that we kind of created. Right here, you can see that there is the seafood machines that a lot of the clients are building. Right now, you guys have over 20 different kind of seafood machines with 3 different can inspection ones. With every single kind of goods, there's only a standardization of quote. With every single customization that the clients want and have, not only it will be discussed through the executives, but also it could be seen on the website of the fluctuation of the price, depending on the kind of customization that they want to. For example, if the clients want to have the seafood grater, it will start at, I would assume, about $20,000, since the revenue of each machine range from $150,000 to $500,000. With every single customization, due to the size, the color, and the aspect of the seafood, the price of the machine would increase. And from then, we would have an understanding of what the client needs and what we can do so that we can shorten the amount of time in order to increase the turnover rate.
The third part of our plan is evidently the contractual agreements. This part is a two-pronged approach. At first, we're going to partake in a currency contract just to hedge the risk. Basically, we're going to take a slight cost, but this will enable us to give a clause to our clients, especially in developing countries, who fear the risk of currency fluctuations. Evidently, you mitigate that risk for them, and it limits our downside, and you can even make a small profit, which will develop a bit further on. This is a bit the idea of how it looks like. You might make a small profit, but the honest, still again, I must repeat, is to simply limit the downside for your customers, and this is a part of what supports the sales and makes this a great strategy. The second part of the contractual agreements is we're going to first partner with the National Sanitary Foundation, which is a worldwide organization which is based in the United States. They have operations in Mexico and throughout South America, and they are very well established in the seafood packaging and inspection of the food operations. They also have an expertise in the consulting audit of sanitary inspections, and also have the technical expertise to consult on supply chain and operations management. Hence, they do have a certain expertise which we think we will be able to evidently leverage, and they also have a history of partnering with firms such as ours to do their operations. Evidently, if we start by having a good partnership with them, we can further on move into a joint ventureship in that country, such as they do currently have with other companies. But also, given their global presence, if on their side they do enjoy what we can bring to them, that's an additional benefit. We can further leverage their position globally, and them our expertise in the imagery for food technologies. An alternative, if the NSF is not willing to partner with us, which we found is the AMEE. It's a Mexican trade association for food and packaging in the region. Evidently, the contractual agreement and all the other elements of our strategy today, we've estimated that, well, you can see how the Mexican operation profits go depending on the numbers of years. Evidently, it wasn't mentioned how much exactly we would make on a given unit, but we assume since the margin were mentioned to be pretty high, to be up to 40%. As you can see, within 2 or 3 years, we feel that you'll be able to have sufficient funds to fully fund a joint venture, which is evidently the end goal if things go well. If they do not, the break-even point is pretty low, so regardless of what happens in Mexico, there's very little to lose but a lot to gain. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My colleague Lucas will delve further on in the implementation, how that will actually go through.
But before we go into the implementation, there's always a question of risks. Would these plans work out? And we are happy to be here to answer those risks the moment that you think about them. Because right now, as of these plans, there's 3 layers. And every layer, there's always a risk. And all those risks are always somehow intertwined. Not only there's a problem with the customers, that the language of the web user interface, but also in a different place, the internet connection might not be as sufficient for them to go online to check what the price ranges are, and that could be answered through our road shows. Not only we could educate them, but we also can give them the price range in person and face to face. Second of all, with the partnership agreement, like my colleague just said, there might not be a chance that we can partner with them. However, with over 250 different technology firms that share kind of the same mission that we have, with the same kind of goal, we believe that giving them our goods in order for us to bring our goods to them at the same time would not be a hard question to be answered. And if it's not the NFS or AMEE, there's always going to be the next one in line that willing to partner with us. The only question here is how long it's going to take, and we believe that it needs to be carefully and thoroughly thought to. At the same time, we need to evaluate whether the partnership is going to be profitable for us. And the last point, as my colleague mentioned before, when President-elect Trump is going to be in power, one of his agendas is to undermine NAFTA, which gives the importation from Mexico, which undermine the importation of Canadian goods to Mexico to be a problem. However, the TPP is in place right now with not only Mexico, Chile, but also Peru, and at the same time, Vietnam, one of the biggest and strongest, fast-growing seafood exporter, is also in play. And we have a presence in Japan as of right now. We don't believe that the political risk is going to affect us as much as it could as before.
Yes, so now with respect to the implementation, it's important to assess which ones are the most important in order. So within the first 6 months, we want to go through the refocusing of sales and hiring that sales force. And by the end of the 6 months, as mentioned, we want to reevaluate our position with them and see if we want to continue with our sales force. Next would be the BYOB development integration within the first year. Now, within the 6 to 18 months, we want to go through that contractual agreement that my colleague Hugo mentioned. And within 3 years, we want to have the evaluation of a potential joint venture. I'll now pass it on to Frank for the impacts.
MLV has been one of the most successful storytellers in the cutting-edge inspection industry. This is due to your diverse, charismatic, and bold approach of businesses. You have now over 30 different kind of machines, and you keep making them. And why do you do that? Because even though success is a reality, its effects are only temporary. You get hungry even though you just eaten. You're happy because you're successful for now, yet you're looking for expansion. Because as human natures, we don't believe that you're happy. What is happiness? It's the moment before you want more happiness. We don't believe that you want to just have just Mexico or Peru or Chile. We want you to have Latin America, to have Asia, to have Europe, to have everything in your back pocket as the biggest market shareholder there is. And not only are we going to help you overcome the market development obstacles, increase the turnover rate of the product development and hedge the exporting risk and international expansion. We hope that this is going to be the stepping stone of your future plan in order to be that player in the world. And we're happy to be here to be part of your history. Thank you. Now we would be open for Q&A.
I have a question. We're looking at the sales force, but as part of the development, should we as Lisa be looking also at finding partners in Mexico to build the machinery? It would save maybe on costs of transporting, exporting. It might even save costs on development and the sales. Has that been considered?
We definitely is something that we think might be an option in the future. But however, one of the critical factors to your success up to now was the quality of your operations and of your products. Maybe if you, in the future, you go with a joint venture, that might be an option, that might be interesting. However, at the moment, we do not consider this to be the right move to go full on and invest the necessary funds. That there's still evidently some risks, so we want to move slowly but certainly and be certain that what we do it well. So maybe it might be an alternative in the future, but in the very short term, it's not something we think is something that might be considered.
Have you considered what sector we should be involved in first? Sector, for example, the agricultural sector, or the seafood area. Has you given that some thought?
If I may, in Mexico especially, the industry, and even throughout Chile and Peru, which we've also looked at, there is a very strong fish industry. Noticeably, there are other industries, but also given what we already have at the moment in terms of technology, it's the one where we have the most established success. One of the fear that our customers have had in the past was how replicable the results were for their own operations. Since it's the industry where at the moment we already have proven products, we feel it's the thing we can leverage to other firms and say, it's worked for many firms, why would it work for you? Just for Mexico, notably, our 3 customers at the moment are in the fish industry, so we feel it's definitely the main place to market, but it doesn't limit ourselves in terms of what we can do.
I'm particularly interested in your user interface. Could you tell me a little bit more about that, how that would work?
For the web user interface, I would like to go back to the slide. First, we're going to outsource it to an IT firm because as a 15-employee company who's mainly engineers, we wouldn't believe that putting a lot of resource into making this website is going to be feasible and sound. So when you go online and not right as of right now, if you go on LNV's site, the only thing they show is all their different kind of machines that they have. There is no quote of prices. There is no option to customize. There is a suggestion that we are happy to customize any type of goods. However, there is no options. There is no guideline, and especially there is no starting point. So, as a potential client who really doesn't know that they need like this kind of goods, they might be too lost to be interested in purchasing the product. And with this, if you click on Seafood Grader, there will be a quick price for this, for the most basic ones. As you want the customized color, price, and size, and everything else that we had in the past, the price will add up to a point between the range of 150 to 500K that we usually sell our goods in.
And in your plan, are we going to be targeting all of Mexico, or are we going to be looking at a specific region to start with? How are you looking? Because you were saying you're going to try it for 6 months or 6 to 8 months. Are we going to focus on?
Yeah, I think whenever we believe that whenever we go into Mexico, as mentioned, we were going to go into those road shows. So this will generally give us, again, a brief overview of Latin America, and this also the companies there from Mexico will be generally from like the entire region. So in that sense, we would be targeting all of Mexico at the road shows. However, whenever we do telecommunications, we were thinking of going more towards specified regions, such as more towards the coastal regions, like around Ixtapa and around there. So that's what we do.
The question period is now finished.
Thank you.
Thank you.